Hello, my name is T.Whitfield, and I am here today to share my ancestry presentation. I selected my mother's side of the family to backtrack to my African roots. Through the FamilySearch.org, I was able to locate my great-great-grandparents who were born in the 1890s in Kentucky. Through them, I was actually able to locate some information on my great-great-grandfather's father. He was born between the 1850s to 1860s, but there was no mother listed. Now, this is close to the era where slavery was about to end, so I'm not sure if he was born to a slave or not. Not every African who reached Kentucky were slaves. There were actually freed people that just worked on the land. I had to sit down and kind of talk to my aunt, Lenora Washington, and kind of talk through even tracing everyone, because the women, my grandmother, my great-grandmother, my great-great-grandmother, they went by multiple different last names throughout, to where I wasn't really sure what their real names were. She tried to help me as much as she could because she was so young. She was the youngest sibling of my mother's. So one of the things that we came to a conclusion is that they followed the common law marriage. So they were using the men that were their kids' fathers' names, even if they may not have been married. So it kind of made the search a little difficult, but we did get some information. What I did find out that was kind of interesting was just the food and the culture. And what I decided to do was to follow the Senegal in West Africa, only because they say majority of the Africans who came to the U.S. were from the Senegal area, and they were Senegalese. But that wasn't really true that they were all from Senegal. It was just that that's where the ship left from. But that's where I put my focus on at the time. And I was really interested with food and how we eat now versus then. And so I talked to a guy who's actually from Sudan that I work with. His name is Yang, and he pretty much told me that he eats what you would find in the southern states. They eat everything the same, but they just prepare things different. So when I thought about that, I compared the Senegalese. Their top dish is a fish stew where they put cilantro, peppers, garlic, tomato paste, and sweet potatoes, okra, and all that in it. And it kind of just bases me to thinking of like our stews that my mother used to make. And pretty much she put a meat, she put some kind of broth, she put different vegetables in it. So a lot of it is the same. I think we just Americanized our food a little bit more as Africans settled in America. Another thing that I found that was really interesting was the talk that's going around today about the logos, like the Aunt Jemima. Nancy Green was one of the first women on the logo, and she was born a slave in 1834 in Montgomery County, Kentucky. And I just thought that was kind of interesting because, hey, she made it on a logo, and that's how I guess growing up, I always looked at it. It was someone of a dark skin on the logo. That was a good thing. But now I understand what people are going through now, saying, no, it's reminding us of slavery. So maybe it is time that we move on and we try to fix that. Because at the end of the day, what we have fought for, from slavery to civil rights movements, to even these protests with George Floyd, and that's freedom and equality. So for us to get there, we do have to let go, and we have to move upon the slavery era and remember that we're all Americans. Thank you, and goodbye.